Programmer employees don't have a career anymore. Hi, my name is Chris Athanas. Tech Sports coming out Tuesday, they said, for that to close out. Anyway, I'm going to react to this Jamie Edwards, which I've been following for several years now. He's actually quite good. Uh, and his videos are great about his experiences in the tech field. He was still kind of really deep in it when I took a break back. He was like starting to get into it. And so we had a little slightly different perspective on stuff, but definitely a pro on all fronts. And let's hear what he has to say.
If you know that employment in tech is not stable anymore,
Yes.
and companies are more trigger happy to let you go than ever.
Oh, they know.
And
They
they
love
are
it.
expecting people to be more productive engineers than ever. And if you
Yeah,
get
they
a
do.
job with one of these companies, basically your leverage is like nothing. They have
Yeah.
all the leverage. They have all the power.
Yeah.
Then why would you continue to bet your career and your sanity and your future on employment in tech anymore?
Good point.
If you want to do tech, this year, I'm going to be helping people escape. Get the hell out of corporate employment.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Because the middle management people who hire and fire and all that stuff, and set the budgets and all that stuff, their role, because of the current AI tools, which they're freaked out about, their role has shrunk because they've been the message handlers. They go from the programmers to the business people. They just send the messages back and forth, and their role shrinks. So they panicked, right? They panicked. They seem to panic with these tools. And they said we need to get rid of the programmers. It's like, and then the ones we're gonna hire in are gonna have to be the super programmer stuff to make sense for the managers to keep their roles and their budgets going. Because the message passage thing is not gonna be as important because people can take meetings and synopsises from videos now. So yeah, let's keep going. And so those environments are going to be very cutthroat and very they always kind of were, but even worse now because all their jobs are now on the line. They trying to scramble and figure a way anyone they can bring on board which they can get some of that value back.
When I made this channel in
Show
2017,
their value.
my purpose was to share with you a lot of problems that I saw in the tech industry with the hope that managers and product managers and senior developers that were becoming managers would change things in the culture of existing companies to make it healthier and better the way that we all work together.
Oh, that was never going to work. But what we did get out of it was, hey, there's this thing in the industry, and seems like these people don't care about this stuff because I've been mentioning it to them. They're like, yeah, whatever. So it's gonna be up to you to figure it out. So now he's switched over, which is awesome.
And unfortunately, I've come to the conclusion after coaching over 120 different people over the last 5 years that that's probably never going to happen. I'll start by just sharing.
But I really appreciate the try. You know what? I give him props for trying because that takes guts.
Real true thing that happened to me, and that's that about 4 years ago, my oldest son, who had already done multiple things in his life, in his early 20s to kind of get established with some sort of career, sat down next to me at the couch, and I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't happen very often. And I, didn't know what he was going to say. And he begins to share, hey, Dad, kind of laughing about it. This might seem kind of weird, but I've been thinking about it more and more. And I think I want to get into programming. Think about if you were my son, how much you're going to hear about challenges in the software industry, right? You've seen all these videos. It's inevitable that he's going to hear some of that stuff over the years. So
yeah, but that's just the software industry. The actual process of building solutions in software for people is actually super fun. And I think that's where he's going to be headed with this, is like, we are coming to a stage in the software industry, whatever, the computers business, where one person can have a market of 1,000 or 10,000 customers, and 1 or 2 or 3 people can get a market that size and produce software solutions for that market and do well and don't have to do the corporate route. And I do know it's possible because I stumbled into it with my first software company that I sold and took a bunch of time off. Again, lucky. I'm not saying I'm genius because I was just lucked into it. And it's this stuff I think he's going to start talking about it. And if he doesn't, he should. Let's keep going.
So he knew straight out, was probably thinking to himself, what's my dad going to think about all this? What I told my son was, I think it's great that you're learning to code. And, I'm excited for you. I'm going to help you the whole time, however I can. But I also think you should strongly consider looking at it as something you're learning to understand how technology works and be able to create things and have some hands-on skill, not just be completely clueless about tech and clueless about programming, but probably, let's say, 4 to 5 years in, make an explicit determination in your career to basically learn some business skills, some marketing skills,
Oh
some
yeah.
sales skills to either get in.
Well, how do you do that? By trying to build something for people, and then seeing what if they have a problem that you can give a solution to, and then selling them a solution, creating it if they can get there, or creating the solution first and then selling it, which is not the best way to going about it, but in the beginning, it's definitely the better way of going than trying to figure out a problem that you already have everything figured out for, as opposed to trying these little experiments. So I got to think of it as experiments in the beginning. Really, in the beginning, you should be copying somebody else's stuff. Just trying to copy as clearly as directly as you can in your own way. Or just copy first step, just like we did like we used to do in the computer business when we got started. Was we were having these computer magazines. We had to type in the programs. Yeah, we used to type in the programs and try and figure them out, and that has to be a part of it because the typing of it, something happens with the muscle memory that gets into your brain, and you kind of then you start to like make changes of the thing you just wrote, right? And then you start to write your own thing, and then you start to apply, see if we can have how this can be applied to a solution space somewhere. That's the path to success. It's not a direct straight line, and yes, it takes a long time, but in the process, you get all these skill sets of the sales and marketing and uh, technical stuff, and it takes a long time. It takes a long time. I know.
Into consulting or technology consulting of some sort, start a
Maybe.
business where you can sell a small product like a micro SaaS or something like that, or
Yeah.
educate people on, your unique take on tech, do something other than working for the companies. This is just the reality. This isn't one of those episodes like, here's what happened to me, man, and this sucks, and so the industry sucks.
Wow.
This
No,
is
it's
just
that's exactly that's maybe the industry sucks. Who cares? The internet stuff has always sucked. It's always been kind of terrible. But like making finding problems that you can solve with software and with using computers, that's always been pretty fun, man. But it's hard, it's difficult because where do you fit in? Where's your skill set match the problem space, match a customer? Where's the Venn diagrams go to the center of that thing? The problems you can solve at a price that somebody wants to pay for it somehow, some way. A lot of people start with games. I know that's what I started with because it's very low barrier. People will either like it or don't like it. I did all kinds of crazy things, but yeah, you have to like stumble into it. And if you want to see the stuff, you can just go to my GitHub, and it's all up there. You can look at it.
consistent theme that I experienced in my career and I'm seeing with everyone else, which is basically when you get a job, no matter how good the job is, when you start, the moment the company decides that what they want to do isn't in line with your career anymore, let's say they want you to use a different language, they want you to work on a project that's not important, they want you to support a legacy code base, they want you to shift into some role, you'll convince yourself, and I've done it too, like, well, I'll just do this for a little bit. And that's when they've got you, because the moment that happens, you've got a cost to the opportunity you could be pursuing to be sharpening your skills, making
Well, often these things are presented. This is how I've seen it, or at least in my experience. They come in and say, "Okay, so you've done it great. This last project is wonderful, but we have this need in the company, and we gotta have this thing, and we can't find anybody to do it. So we want to like have you train up on this tech stack, and then take over this thing over here, and do that for us. And then what about the stack I'm already on? That took me 5 years to get here. Oh, if we don't have a need for that anymore, so you can we either fire you or you do what we say. You have a choice to make, right? You're like, God damn it. I have to go do a job hunt. And sometimes the job hunt's easy, sometimes not so easy. Like right now, we're in a cycle, we're part of the cycle where it's not easy. And yeah, so you gotta make a hard decision. Do you want to eat the puke soup or those shit sandwich? Yeah, so it's like, and those decisions are not hard, are not easy, and they don't always involve just you, right? This is where things get it's a little sketchy, yeah.
more money, growing your career, going in the direction that you know you need to go. And instead, you're wasting it doing stuff for the other company to have a career that you're happy with. And
Well, it's not wasting is you're still getting paying the bills, so to speak. But yeah, you might be getting yourself into a dead end if they pick a technology that doesn't go anywhere, or they've been convinced by one set of people that's going to be great, and the other set of people are like, no, I don't think so. And then see a bunch of people bailing out. It's like, did I make the right decision?
Really be able to feel in control of your career, I believe employment for companies is the worst way to do it at this point.
Yeah,
Much of what I'm
yeah,
helping people with now is how
yeah.
do
There
you,
used to be a contract. So when I was growing up, and uh, people could have these jobs for life. I was at the tail end of it when I was growing up, but there were people who were employed for life, and everything was super stable. They were stable. The community was stable. Everybody was stable. It was actually a very low risk way, but something switched probably like around 2008. I guess it was the end of that. Completely ended that. All the pension stuff. Like people talk, well, I'm not gonna pension. I was like, oh, what a 401k is the same thing. It's like it's not the same thing, man. These companies did started to like not care about it. It's like that globalization process was well underway by this point as well, and it kind of took off, and they could just export the labor, and nobody said anything. They just exported the labor and exported the factories completely, and even more of the skilled stuff. And yeah, they didn't change the prices or anything like that. So yeah, I kind of hollowed out that middle class.
you actually transition into working for yourself? And you've seen probably over the last year, I've started to make a few episodes where I'm sharing some of my own stories, some of the things I'm trying to share with you to help you with.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
I'm
cool with
even
that.
more adamant than ever. And this is something I've been talking with my wife about. This is something I've been talking with my clients about. You probably know I have a Discord server. People who get on Patreon or coaching clients go on there. We talk about it there. I'm talking to people over and over and over and over again with amazing careers who are just super depressed and disillusioned because of the state of the industry.
Oh, I knew it. Yeah, man, it sure seemed like when I came back into it, people were losing their shit. Like there's one company was pretty cool, but other companies are people just like, what's going on? It's like, hey, what happened to the joy? And like having fun, whatever. They're like, oh, it's like, it's like, yeah, because your attitude makes it sucky. But I was in this other my headspace, obviously. So let's keep going.
And here's the thing, it's not the state of tech in general. I believe technology is in a better place than ever. I use AI all the freaking time for my business.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
technologies I use, let's say, for my website and for integrations, and I built a product called Dev Pathfinder. You might have heard of this last year that I launched. All this stuff
I've
has
tried
been
it.
exponentially easier to just do now
Yeah,
that AI is there. But
for sure.
unfortunately, again, I'm seeing engineers, they're just looking at it as AI is a fad and it's negative and it's going to take my job. And
No,
there are negative aspects
that is the pump, the stock pump. That's the stock pump marketing plan. But no, they're not. It's not gonna take a job.
of AI. I'm not sticking my head in the sand, but
It's definitely gonna take some of these managers' jobs. Oh yeah, because where's the value at? They gotta have a value at somewhere.
the better way to look at it, I think, is if you know that employment in tech is not stable anymore, and companies are more trigger happy to let you go than ever,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
they are expecting people to be more productive engineers than ever. And if you get
Yeah,
a job with one of these companies, basically your leverage is like nothing. They have
yeah,
all the leverage, they have all the power. Then
true.
why would you continue to bet your career and your sanity and your future on employment in tech?
Because it's what we know. It's what we've been told, what we've been trained, what they've been saying. Like, oh no, we have to have a culture. You gotta have a manager. You gotta get. It's really hard to get sales. And it's like you're gonna have to microservices. And you have to have a department for cyber engineering and DevOps. And you gotta have all the pipe chain. Everything's gotta be industry standard, standard, all that stuff. So they're not thinking about, oh shit, I gotta figure out how to do some of the other jobs that seem like super scary, but people seem to like literally like kind of like and love it, like marketing and sales and stuff like that. People are super down to do that if you got a product that can sell. If you have a problem and a solution, a problem space that has a good, you've developed a solution for somehow, some way, which is like that's hard, right? That's the hard part. But now, if you're clever and you want to go down a niche, you can niche down now. We don't have to go some wide thing. We're not a social media platform. You can niche down. You can niche down into a narrow thing. So maybe it is a social media for like cat fingernails or something like that. Something really tiny like fingernail polish for cats or something, something goofy like that. Something very very narrow niche like fly fishing lures for specific species of fish that people want. It's like that kind of stuff. Something niching down. Like it's not just fly fishing lures. It's this specific thing for this specific thing. Just because there's people out there that are looking for it. Because like I'm into this, got into cameras lately. Like back into cameras, and man, there was like a whole bunch. For a long time I just ignored it. I was like, didn't care. I was like, whatever. I don't give a crap. But then I just going back and looking into all the cameras and stuff. Man, there's been all kinds of stuff, and most of them are lacking in some major thing. And there's just like those opportunities are all over the place. People are just kind of just like always getting. There's always some gotcha, some little thing that doesn't work right. It's like, man, if you pay attention to those things, people would rather work and deal with your stuff, not somebody else's. Let's keep going.
Anymore. If you want to do tech this year, I'm going to be helping people escape, get the hell out of corporate employment. Now, you may
Yeah,
still have to
that's
work with
difficult.
companies, but
Yeah,
not engaging with them as an employee that's subject to their rules and regulations, and
yeah,
not walking into engagements with
yeah.
them expecting I'm just going to work here and delude myself that it's stable
It's
until
difficult though, but right now we're in a downturn. Or it hasn't quite turned. It hasn't turned around yet. From my indicators, I have alternate indicators that can show me the state of software development, software industry. So it hasn't recovered yet. Like we're in a really bad. This economy is really bad right now. It's like it's difficult. So, but also here's the other thing. These are the times when these things are formed, when things aren't going so great and things are a little rough and things are a little tight. It's like these are when these new companies are come around. It's usually some niche that people have been really ignoring, like just, oh, that's stupid. It's like cat nail polish. What is wrong with you? You know, that kind of stuff.
the project ends or they lay me off. That is no way to live. It's no way to treat your family, your kids, your friends. If you got other people
True.
dependent on you, if I or you continue to
Yeah,
pretend that that's
I mean, this is tough. It's tough all around, kid.
a good strategy, we're actually, as harsh as this sounds, I say this because I care about you, we are willfully ignorant of the stupidity of continuing to bet on that. Stop giving a
Yeah.
crap if you're going to become senior engineer or principal, or someone comes to you with some big promotion with more responsibility. Every time you pick those up, and I did the same thing, every time you walk into that, you're committing to being the company's bitch even more. If you do that and they
I
pay you
mean,
more, it feels good in the
if it
short term.
makes sense, yes. But if they're just gonna fire you the moment things don't look rosy and great, I mean, you have to really take that into consideration too. It's a very transactional environment now. I mean, so it's just like, okay, well, I didn't make the environment. I don't like it being like this. If it was my decision. If it was Emperor Chris, I wouldn't do it like that. But here we are, so we're gonna deal with it. And hopefully, you can find cool people to work with. And if you can't, it's just like, man, it's just this is where we're dealing with. Let's keep going.
But you're really making it harder for yourself on the in the long run. So let me just bring this all back around. This year, I'm going to be
Okay.
having some pretty cool announcements over the next couple months.
All
Don't want
right.
to completely unveil it to you yet. There's a lot of thinking I've done over the last 2 months, talking to my clients, doing a lot of research, looking back over all the coaching client cases I've
Exciting.
had, looking back over my own career, and I've come up with a approach to help you with this year that I think there's nothing else like this in the industry. The way I'm going to help you
All
with it
right.
is very different than just like buying a course or watching YouTube videos, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting and engaging for people who are ready to do this.
All right.
But let me just wrap this up with some words of encouragement that, like, if you're frustrated out there and you feel like your job's difficult, it's very honorable. If you've got bills to pay, maybe you have a wife or a husband, maybe you've got children and they're depending on you. If your job's not awesome right now, like, I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm not here to say that like you're failing something.
If you have a job right now, you're lucky. You should keep it, well, or at least like I'll do some on the side. Like I'll never just jump into some new endeavor. It's always got to be a side thing, man, because you don't know what it takes, and if you try and rush everything, it doesn't turn out right. So you have to have this like slow burn effect, because it takes time to find the problem, then it takes time to create a solution and a customer. Well, you have to find the customer with the problem. That's usually how you have to create a solution. That takes time. And then get the right solution. That takes a lot of time. The right pricing and all that stuff until all that stuff. And you have to be a kind of a tinkerer. You kind of have to be patient. And you might have to work a sucky job for while you do all that stuff. And people give up all the time. That's why some people give up all the time because it's just too hard. It's just too much of a pain in the dick. It's just like, all right, I gotta stop. I gotta do this other thing. And then when the economy takes a dip and they have to do these mass layoffs and stuff, so they get busy at work, it's even harder. Yeah. So this is where this is the evolutionary pressures of software development.
Somehow.
A lot
What
of
I
people
am saying
quit.
though is I believe there's a time to start becoming more intentional about your career and start going, I'm going to actually not just let my career happen to me, but I'm going to take explicit actions. And that those actions are going to be bigger than I just got laid off. I'm going to study Leet Code and HackerRank, and I'm going to go out on LinkedIn, which is completely broken. I'll talk about that more in the future. That whole system is completely stacked against you.
Yeah.
There's an endless number of distractions that you can kind of get caught
Easy apply, really? Okay.
in to just la 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 and pretend this isn't happening. And I
Yeah,
understand
I
that.
mean it sucks when when they've told us forever, you know, the messaging is when the peak thing is peaking, it's gonna go on forever, and then when it starts to downturn, it's like, no, it's a tiny blip. It's we're not, we're just gonna go on forever. We're gonna get right back to where we were, and then it kind of bottoms out. People are like, oh, it's be like this sucks. It's gonna be never gonna return, never gonna come back. And then when it starts to come back, it's like we see little blips, but it looks bad, it looks bad, and then it starts to climb up. It's all of a sudden, oh my god, out of nowhere comes these new things that we didn't think were possible, and oh my god.
I understand that this is uncomfortable, it's difficult, but it doesn't have to be. You know, if you start to take at least a step every day, and then a step, and then a step, that's what I've done over
Yeah,
the last 7 years. Remember, my whole career went to shit 7 years ago. I lost everything. Talked about that in the burnout episode.
yeah,
You
man,
can get to a
that's
place like I am now where, like,
gnarly.
I don't work for companies. I work for individual people. Now, I do have a consulting, well, technically 2 consulting contracts, but they're with owners of the business. They're smaller businesses. They're great bill rates, and it's very little hours, and there's zero estimating. That's the kind of work that I would
Awesome.
like to help you get if you want to become, let's say, a
Yeah,
consultant.
that's
But you got to
badass.
have high leverage. And you're not going to get high leverage if you basically are
Yes,
going to companies
yes.
selling basic programming abilities, not knowing how to
True.
position them as far as how valuable they are, and not
Correct.
charging a high enough bill rate that you actually instill the confidence in whoever's about to, hire you.
I
Whoa,
mean,
this
that's
person.
just having like one customer, one or two customers versus lots of customers. So he's talking about doing the contracting thing. I'm talking about maybe moving out of contracting because it's really hard to get the value out of one person unless it's some kind of rote thing that's already you already know how to do 100 times. To get, I'm talking about like creating another business, another service, and dealing with your customer that you've picked and your problem space that you've picked, and that's dealing with it that way. And sure, now you have 100 customers, right? And then you can aggregate the demand and spread that out, spread that risk out amongst those 100 customers you've identified, and try to get 10 times, you know, for each one of those, try and find 10 more like him. So you got your 10,000. Um, does this make any sense? Let's keep going for a
Person's asking
second.
a lot of money. They must be worth it. Maybe I ought to listen to them. So we'll talk about this more this year. I know this has been a little
Yeah,
bit of a
that's true.
ramble and a rant episode today, but again, hope you're doing okay out there. I haven't made an episode since I think it was
We're
last
getting
November. It's
through
been a
it.
couple months, but I'm back now. I'm looking forward to talking to you this year. And I hope if you're struggling, you just hang in there, be smart.
Yeah,
And I look forward to helping you as much as I can this year. Until next.
yeah, he's really cool. Go give him a like and subscribe. He's a great guy, and his channel's awesome. And yeah, there's these lulls. I've been through several of them. This is like my fourth or fifth one in my lifetime when I was been employed and it's been affected me in some way, shape, or form. Man, everybody when they're at the very bottom, it's like they always gonna go off forever. They'll never recover. We're never gonna make it out. It's always like that's when you know the bottom's hit when they start the doomsday everything. And you know, because there's still lots of programs to be written and stuff like that, but maybe not like at the height of the hype of the last cycle. Maybe it won't be that bad or won't be that crazy. People will get a bit more with a little more sane, but that usually is not the case. They just go off the rails again. So that's just been the history of the whole thing, yeah, for quite some time. All right, give me a like, subscribe. I'll talk to you later.